Welcome to the AI Revolution Call. I'm Cody Willard. That's Craig Delaune, Bryce Smith, John Dio, Cody, Craig, and Bryce. We all work at a hedge fund, a fund business, a capital management business, and we invest in technologies like the aforementioned AI revolution. John de Oliveira lives in an undisclosed location on the East Coast, but he and I were very good friends at college at the university. When I was in college at the University of New Mexico,
I was in master's at the time. Yeah,
John, I think you got it. You were done with your master's while I was still going. But anyway, John and I got to be very good friends. Played a lot of tennis even together over the years, and he left college. He left New Mexico anyway in 1997, 96, 95. 95 I'm going with.
No, not 95. I was still living there when I got married there.
Oh, that's right. So 98 maybe.
Yeah, 98.
So John left in 98 to go work for Doug Lennett's Open Psych?
Like just Psycor. Yeah.
Psych Ward.
No, Psycor. CYCORP.
I was making a
like corp, like core, so like Psycor, which actually was the name of something from some sci-fi. So I think it was a play on something. It's like from Deep Space Nine or something.
Yeah. Bad science fiction in that case.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, have you guys heard about this AI revolution thing? It's happening. There's like AI investments. I heard like you could invest in AI. Google and Yahoo.
I can't keep up with the headlines.
Is it Yahoo and Alta Vista are the two leading AI hyperscalers?
Right now, as far as I know.
So I get that right? Excite
5 years ago.
IBM is the big compute leader, Big Blue. Everyone wants to work at Big Blue.
Can't get fired for buying Big Blue, Bryce.
Yeah.
Used to be you can't get fired for working there either, but then that didn't.
And nowadays they'll lay you your butt off over there. But look, in all seriousness, let's talk AI revolution. We got some news. We got a few headlines to go over, a couple of things like that. Bryce has a little thing he wanted us to talk about here, and we'll hit that in just a moment. I will tell you that Bryce, Craig, and Cody, that would be me, the three of us flew to Dallas last Friday morning from El Paso. Caught an Uber to a Best Buy in a Dallas suburb, slightly north of Dallas, I believe. Maybe not quite a suburb, but we weren't Dallas Central. Anyway, we went for the sole purpose of demoing the Meta glasses, Meta display glasses, Meta Ray-Ban display glasses, to be technically correct. They have an actual display inside of them, and if you don't demo them in person at either a Best Buy or a Meta flagship store, a Meta store of which there's like the flagship and nothing else. Anyway, you can't order them. So I thought we were being remiss as hedge fund technology revolution investors if we were not one of the first people to play with, order, and receive and immerse ourselves in the Meta Ray-Ban display glasses revolution. Which is frankly a part. Hold on, John. It is frankly a part of the virtual reality revolution, the augmented reality revolution. It's a step along this pathway. John, what were you about to say?
I should say, are you going to use that same reasoning for getting one of the first Optimuses that becomes available?
Yeah.
I hope so.
That would be correct. 100%. Yes. It's why I bought a Tesla in 2018 for the sole purpose of seeing if it was a good product and if I should invest.
Talk to you about that, but that's aside. No, yeah. It's about the fact that we own one of the first cars and we paid for FSD and they're not giving us FSD hardware. So what's that all about?
John, we asked Jamie Shores what year did he get his first Tesla Model 3 and how much did he pay for full self-driving? Can you answer that question yourself?
Paid when we got it, I thought was like 2018, but maybe not quite. But it was 2019. What was it? But it was a 10,000.
10,000. Jamie paid 6,000, which is also, I guess, what I paid for mine originally in 2018, 2019 early. And these days it's 8,000, and your car does not fully self-drive.
No, and we paid for self-driving, and we didn't get self-driving. And for a while, we heard they were going to upgrade. Oh, don't worry about it. They'll upgrade the car at some point. And now they're talking about, oh, no. We're going to give you FSD 14 Lite. It's like, light? You're going to give me light?
They never said that, John. That is the buzz in the media that they're going to do something like that.
That was somebody from Tesla said it. So,
Bryce, did Tesla say they were going to give
I think somebody did
FSD
tweet that they were working on an FSD Lite for hardware 3 owners. Yeah.
I just don't. I guess I'm taking umbrage with the phrasing. I don't think they said FSD Lite, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before in my life.
FSD 14 Lite, because version 14 they can't. The current version they can't.
Well, John, as long as it does the job, does it matter if they call it Lite or not?
Well,
they're going to call it light because it doesn't do the job. So
they're going to upgrade us to hardware 4. That's what.
I think that's what Elon has said in the past, and even as recently as 6 months ago on a conference call, he said they're just going to have to bite the bullet and upgrade every hardware 3 car to an AI 4 car.
This was like, oh, we feel for you guys. We'll make sure something works out, and then it made it sound like
in my car, I have a car with hardware 3, and worst recurring thing with full self-driving is if you're driving directly into the sun at dusk, when that angle is like straight at your front, it will totally screw up. I ran a red light the other day. It was about to miss a turn. Twice it's about to miss a turn for me. And then I Googled if other hardware 3 people have had that experience, and it said yes. And supposedly hardware 4 has fixed the issue of driving into the sun.
I will say I remember having that problem when I had my hardware 3 Model 3, and there are people that claim, and I've seen videos on Twitter that purport to show that like a Cybertruck with hardware 4 specs, all Cybertrucks have hardware 4 specs, is having that sunlight at dusk issue. But Elon said on a call that they were getting to the point where they were literally going to be counting the photons around objects in order to be able to sort of decipher it even at the dusk. And I will tell you, I've never had a problem with the sunset or sunrise and driving full self-driving in the Cybertruck.
Yeah,
probably does happen.
It scared me the other day because it plumb ass ran a red light. I've never seen it do that before. And
John, do you feel like the $10,000 you spent on full self-driving, even though it never attained autonomy level 5, no human being intervening or even paying attention at all levels, was it a waste of your money?
I do feel like they stole my money. Honestly, they said it was going to do a certain thing, and I wait for it to do it. I'm fine with waiting, the 5 years, whatever, for it to get there. But it has, by the time it gets there, to say, oh, not for you guys who paid for it. Yeah.
This is when Elon and Tesla really do need to do some advertising, if for no other reason, to just sort of, like explain what they are planning for this. And they've got 1 million customers that are, maybe not 1 million, because not all Tesla cars or owners have FSD. What is the percentage, Bryce? It's a very low percentage, right? Like 10 or 15% or something?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. So, but
yeah, well, we'll see what they do.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's funny that 2 of my college friends, Jamie and John, who know each other, and we hung out hundreds of hours, if not at least dozens of hours in college together. And they, along with the 3 of us, all had a Model 3 in like 2018. Early adopters over here.
I'm holding out for the Model Y. So
yeah, I want a Model Y.
Yeah, those are so nice.
My wife and I have discussed trading our Model S Plaid 2020. I think it's 2023 for the new Model Y, because we don't need the 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds, even though it's fun. And I do show it off about, like, I bet it's been a year since the last time I showed anyone cheetah mode. And it's been at least a year since I like zoomed it from, maybe not a full year, but it's not very often that I'm like, hey, you want to see how quick this car can snap your neck back? And so the Model Y, with all the latest AI and features and everything else, and even that bar, it's just a beautiful car. So anyway, let's talk some AI revolution stuff. What do you guys want to hit on here?
Well, just the last thing on that is what the car was from back then, whatever. I remember when we got it, there was all this talk about, like, once it's 7 years old, the battery is going to be not worth much, and it's fine.
Yeah, that's all a lie. The batteries last 7, 10, 12 years, and they might lose 10 or 15% of the range over that time frame, but no.
Okay.
AI, Bryce. I guess, like, there's a lot of, like, every day there's new AI news. I want to go back to something we talked a couple, 3 weeks about, Sora 2, the AI video generative app from OpenAI.
Yeah.
It's quite the buzz when it was released. I read some notes talking about that employees at OpenAI did not like the rollout, didn't like having to try to maintain the features and security and safety for users and children in the app. And it's not like that's free. Like, it's a lot of logistics, people, right, and money that has to be thrown at maintaining a social media app, right, with millions or tens of millions or eventually hundreds of millions or even billions of users, like Meta has with Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram. Thoughts? I mean, I have yet to see, I guess the first day I saw a few Sora 2 clips, but I have yet to see anything show up in my wife's Instagram reels when we sit on Saturday and Sunday morning and flip through them, or drinking coffee or something. Like, is Sora 2 a failure? That would be my question. I haven't seen anybody else talk about it.
One is, like, is Vio, it had another release. Is it on par with Sora?
I'm not even talking about the technology, John. I mean the social media app. The approach that OpenAI took by releasing a social media TikTok clone for AI generative video, I think it was a mistake. I don't think consumers want to sit around scrolling exclusively at AI generative 8-second nonsense clips. Maybe occasionally the best ones will rise to your reels or your TikTok feed.
Make it easy. What are we doing? Yeah, like, make it easy to get it into TikTok, just mixed in with it, make that super easy, because by itself, who wants to be, just like you said. So I think probably yes. But I think there's a bigger play from them, which is just trying to be, a platform, a place you go and just do all different things. And so they're like, we got some of this, we got some of that. I mean, X wants to do that with, they've talked about it. I don't see them making a lot of progress right now with, like, shopping and all this happening from X.
Yeah, they want to become a super app. Mm-hmm. I would consider, given the fact that we're already talking about OpenAI as like an operating system competitor, it certainly has attained super app potential status. The fact that you can use it to talk to Zillow or soon Airbnb and other apps themselves, they can live inside of OpenAI and you interface with it with voice or typing or however you normally do it with ChatGPT. But that being said, it does feel like they're trying too hard sometimes. Like, I think this is an overreach, and they don't know. Meta was down like 2 or 3 days in a row after Sora 2 came out, like it was somehow going to steal traffic from Facebook. And obviously Meta's come right back. The stock's right back to where it was before the recent, probably higher after today. What's the point? What like social media? Have you guys downloaded Sora 2?
No. And I think that the one thing is that they are doing a lot of like just getting stuff out there in different categories, like as fast as they can, even before it's all the way ready, kind of like putting their mark, laying out the mark with like the web browser. It's not as good as, you know, Perplexity's web browser, but it's the OpenAI web browser. So, you know, if they keep coming out with stuff, so what they need to do is gain traction on several more of these to where people actually are starting to use multiple of them and easily move among them so that it is more, you know, platform like, and then they can really make something happen. They haven't made it happen yet, but they have the potential.
John,
hang on. I push back though, because OpenAI is like a startup, and it's not Meta, and it's not ByteDance, and it's not Google with Chrome. And I agree that those products, Sora and the Chrome or the Google OpenAI browser, have sort of flopped, but the Silicon Valley mantra is build fast and break things. And I think they're building fast and rolling shit out. And like, I think it's sort of tough to judge OpenAI's management of Sora 2 by Meta's standards. It's not, they're in different worlds in terms of.
I don't think I'm judging it by their standards. I'm judging it by the fact that I've yet to hear anyone even Threads was a big
people share that. Plenty of people share them on Instagram. I see Sora videos frequently on Reels. Yeah.
But do you know anyone who's downloaded the Sora app?
I don't, but I have Android. I would download it if I could.
Well, I read an article today that 1 in 5 OpenAI employees is ex-Meta. And a lot of the old OpenAI employees that have been there are really blaming Meta's culture just for seeping in and kind of throwing out, almost like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. And to your point, Bryce, like I agree, it's a startup, but there is a lot of, there's a lot of stuff that's coming out that, you just wish you would see more from, like Chesky, I believe his name, the Airbnb CEO, just talked about how the tools for developing an app just weren't there yet and some other things. And while promising, there is kind of this feeling like, all right, well, what's the next big thing? Because even when the 5th model came out, ChatGPT 5, it was underwhelming, to a lot of people. I think that was kind of the common consensus for a little bit. Even though it was still good, it didn't hit as big as 4. And also Sam Altman said recently that in the newest update, they're going to incorporate some things that people liked from 4 into the new model. So yeah, I think they're learning as they go. But
I agree with that.
But do you guys know who said build fast and break things, or whatever Bryce's quote was?
Zuckerberg.
Exactly. So in some sense, like Meta's culture seeping into OpenAI is exactly build fast and break shit. So
that's what they're doing. Yeah.
By the way, I think there's as many OpenAI people over at Meta because he was hiring them away and stuff. But there's a little of each. But I think the break things thing is actually, it might be the right thing to be doing. And there's a tension within OpenAI. You've got the side where the people are like the pure scientists trying to make AGI. And then you got the side where they're like, what's the next slop we can put out that gets more people interested? And the thing that bridges those, and you'll hear from, sorry to mention the name Altman, is that this idea of, look, we want to get stuff in front of a lot of people. That's the whole way we intend to get the world to be like, okay with this shift toward AGI, because AGI is supposedly going to just disrupt everything in a horrible way. People are like, oh no, look what happened to us. But if you get them to be a part of it as it happens, then, they can get used to it as it comes. So that's the idea behind it.
Yeah, I just think if it's one thing, if Google rolls out a half-baked product, they get destroyed for it. Like, remember when their first Gemini model came out and it was like producing very historically inaccurate images? Like, Google can't get away with that. But if OpenAI throws out an app and it doesn't work and doesn't grow, like, I don't know. I feel like it's like they sort of don't need to be perfect.
I guess, Bryce, as much as I guess my biggest point in that question is framing it that there's an opportunity cost to OpenAI channeling time, energy, and money and marketing into Sora 2 when they could be actually channeling that time, money, the resources internally and everything into something else that actually has a better chance of catching traction as a mainstream product, like OpenAI did with ChatGPT itself. Clearly,
they didn't know.
100 million weekly users.
They didn't know when it happened with ChatGPT. They didn't know, and I don't think they know now. So I think it's like you could say kind of a waste of money.
Yeah, I don't know. It does feel like, I guess that's my point too. Is it does feel like they think, even in their approach to like marketing and all these press releases of everything, they're partnering with so-and-so all the time and investing with them or getting money from them or whatever it is. And it feels like they're just throwing like everything they can at it. And that, whereas like Google forever, Bryce asked me the other day, why have I never doubted Google's dominance? Over the years, there's been repeated threats to Google search, to YouTube, to all kinds of stuff that Google owns and controls and profits from. And my answer was that from the beginning, it seemed like Sergey and I've got, what's the other one? Larry and Sergey got it. It like got a vision. Like my approach to revolution investing and all of the like trying to view into the trillion-dollar trends into the future felt like Sergey and Larry have always done that on an incredibly visionary level, and then they've actually executed, including like one of the biggest things to me was when they bought YouTube for like $2.4 billion or something, which even at the time seemed like they really got away with a free purchase of that asset, and clearly they have. I mean, you know, YouTube is probably worth $500 billion, 250x from what they bought it for 20 years ago. So anyway, Google has the resources to actually throw stuff all over in different directions, and they do a little bit, but it feels like ChatGPT really does throw things around. I wanted to make one other comment, John. You talked about what they're trying to do really, and first and foremost, who are you texting, John?
My wife.
Such bullshit. We're focused.
You know, I was waiting for you to stop talking, but that wasn't going to happen anytime soon. So,
you know, Cody, I did want to add something to your point about opportunity cost.
All right, be quick, because now he's paying up attention again, Craig.
Oh, he got his attention. Go ahead. Go ahead, John.
No, Craig, what were you going to say, real quick?
Well, I was going to say there, you know, the opportunity cost of OpenAI, you know, putting so much time, effort into creating apps for social media. You know, they have 800 million users, and they really put a lot of time in that Sora 2. I mean, I'm not seeing as much of that content, but if you look at Pinterest, you know, some people scoff at Pinterest, but they have almost 600 million users, you know, active monthly. And they just implemented controls to do less AI content. And that is a premier scrolling app that people use for image boards. You know, I know a lot of people that still use it.
Yeah, because people on Pinterest don't want to see AI generative content. They're trying to figure out things they can buy for their house that exist in real life. Totally makes sense. It does, Craig. Mm-hmm. But, you know, look, it was a question of resources as much as anything on that. The platform side of things, John, why I'm going to let Bryce talk about why Meta is so focused on virtual reality, augmented reality, and the Meta glasses in a platform context. Bryce,
are you going to let me respond to your Google praise?
I wasn't going to, but
yes, go, please go.
Before it sounded like you were going to. So just to counterbalance there. I mean, you talk like Google's just visionary about knowing what works, but I seem to recall a whole lot of, I remember labs.google.com, and it was full of things that I liked that disappeared. I went to
John, I was remiss in not saying that Google is also amazing at cutting their losses. When they decide a product doesn't work, they don't give a shit how many users it has. They cut it off.
I went to a conference and saw Google there and went up and talked to them about their cool application, Google Wave, which lasted all of maybe a year. And it's like, why did you guys take that away? It was so cool, whatever. So that didn't make it. So they've done really great at innovating by buying YouTube. No, it's a good purchase for sure, but they didn't do it. They bought it. So you've got still, what's the thing that gets them the most revenue is Google search, which comes from 1998, 1999. Yeah. I don't know. So, and then they went and built up around that. They got Google Drive, Google Mail, Maps. They got those things, did stick, and became that other operating system that we talk about, the operating system in the browser kind of thing. But I just want to say, balance that out in order to give OpenAI a break for, trying things and seeing what's going to stick.
Fair enough. That's why I brought it up, was so that you could argue whatever I said. Bryce, why is Meta in the building these? Why are they spending tens of billions, almost $100 billion on virtual reality in addition to their $100 billion AI investments?
Yeah, they want to own the platform layer and not be an app anymore, which they've always been an app on Android or an app on iOS. And I don't know if anybody remembers, but probably, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, Apple changed its data policies, and they would not allow app companies to track what happens on the iPhone, app outside of the app. And I don't remember exactly all the different changes they made, but when they did it, Meta tanked. And that was a lot of what they were selling their advertisers was data that they were getting from, which they could no longer get because of the Apple privacy changes. And so, like, Mark Zuckerberg was very mad about that. And I don't know if Google really followed suit with Android. I don't remember that being part of the drama.
They did to an extent, but certainly not to the extreme that Apple did. Yeah.
And so anyways, from that point on, Zuckerberg, I've seen him say this in interviews, but he's like, I knew from that point on, I didn't want to be beholden to another company's platform anymore if I could figure out a way to do that. And so that's what his goal is with Meta glasses. Now he's the hardware platform layer. And so no one can ever tell him, hey, you can do this, you can't do that, and what products you can ship, what colors you can use, what buttons your buttons have to look like. I mean, Apple really does control a lot. If you ever try to get like an app approved through the App Store, there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through. So
what's the operating system for the Google, the Meta Ray-Ban glasses? Do we know?
Is it a modified version of like the...
It's got to be
Linux thing. It's not Android.
It's Linux. Got to be Linux. Just like your television. Who are you texting, Cody?
I am looking up on Gemini what the answer to our question is, and
Meta Horizon OS.
Yeah, which is
it's built on Android open source.
Android,
Which is
it Android, Bryce?
It's built on top of the Android open source project. Yeah.
So, and what an amazing internal build Android was for Google. Oh, wait. What a great purchase. But that's my point, John. Those guys go out and they paid $100 million for Android and then took on Apple's iPhone to create a duopoly instead of sitting around. Whether they built it internally or not, the vision to have done that is amazing.
What did they get for that? So yes, I mean, they won. Android won, and they made it happen. And people aren't buying Google phones that much. So if I buy a Samsung phone running Android, what is Google? Do they get some licensing for that, or
no? But they do get the right to put Gemini on there from the beginning and to make it all Google apps that are defaulted to. And they certainly have, and make Google search the default searf.
Yep, that's big.
If it's worth $20 billion a year to Apple from Google to be the default iPhone search engine, what's it worth internally? Probably $20 billion a year. They paid $100 million for Android.
Are there more Android phones installed base than Apple phones?
Yes.
Yeah.
And just in general devices, because think about it, like the Meta glasses, the cars that have.
No, I was more thinking just the search engine running on the phone. But yes, right. It's very big. It was very smart.
And guess what? Google is able to track with all of that personal data, and they are the platform. Going back to Zuckerberg's problem with Apple, like Google never had that issue, even when yes, Google lost the ability to track some of the stuff that people are doing on iPhones when Apple made that change, but Google already, that didn't really matter for them. Whereas 30% of Meta's business got disrupted, at least it was not as profitable after Apple did that because you couldn't target the ads as well as you had been. Bryce, you're about to say something.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like on your question, John, like the Google sign-on, which most people, if you're a Gmail user, it's easy. You love to use Google sign-on because if you click one button, you don't have to make a new account, password, put your home address and all other BS, right? Whenever you sign up for a new app or service. And I don't think we would have seen the ubiquity of the Google sign-on if it weren't for Android, like making anything that was built on Android and things, you could use Google sign-on so seamlessly.
Mm-hmm. Bryce, that's a great point. I wrote an article probably 10 or 15 years ago when I think Facebook was the first or at least it was the first that I saw that it was like, use Facebook to log into this website, this blog or shopping site or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was another layer. And my vision was, it was like another way of becoming a de facto standard for Facebook. And soon thereafter, Google did the same, Amazon did the same. And now you see, some websites or shoppings or apps or whatever will have 4 or 5 of these, like, use this. Your Apple even eventually did it. But I think Facebook was the first to do it. And it's a brilliant idea. It becomes exactly what you described. It's all the more reason for you to just be on that platform, number one. And then number two, it enables the, Facebook or Google to actually know what you're doing.
Right.
And
It's
even better
it's
for
the
them.
value of the first party data, right?
Yeah.
They would never know what you're doing, but when you sign in with Google, they have all of that, right?
Yeah.
What's the Cody? What's the kind of timeline or history of ad revenue? The shifting from when it used to be DoubleClick and all of that, and then Google started stealing more and more from everyone else's sites by having information just happen right up into the search results page. People got mad about that, but now is there a shift, and is there more direct load happening to other things, ChatGPT, I don't know what, but is there a concern from Google that, oh no, where's our ad revenue going?
Not really, no. Google and Meta dominate ad revenue on the web. It's not even close. Amazon is probably third or fourth.
Yeah.
Apple gets a little bit in their app store, but when I've got an Amazon TV at home, when I hit pause, I get a Progressive pop-up ad on there or something, and so Prime also has ads, etc. And then obviously when you're on the Amazon app itself, it's like, hey, here's a sponsored link of sponsored product that you're searching for. But Google still dominates that by far. They actually bought DoubleClick. I don't know if you remember.
But I mean, they dominate the pie, but is the pie changing size in terms of how much of the dollars happen into ad revenue versus something else?
No, you mean for Google specifically? Look, I just want to finish the thought process that, like, the Trade Desk, Roku, like, there are other app loving, like, there are competing platforms of digital advertising movements happening, and those guys are, I don't know if they're taking market share, but they grow with the market along with Google. I'm sure there are ebbs and flows and some of that stuff over time. but Google remains the dominant ad platform on the internet. It is still very much ad-driven product. The revenues of the company are vast majority are still ads and Google search results and things of that nature. But certainly subscriptions are a growing part of their revenue. There's, whether you can you pay 10 or 15 bucks on YouTube not to get ads. I'm a YouTube TV subscriber. That's 80 bucks a month or 120 bucks a month. I don't know what it is, something like that. Like that stuff is certainly growing. But yeah, Google still lives on ads and search.
I thought that would be the only thing that they would care about, really. So as they grow other, if their ad revenue is not at risk, then why bother with all these other things?
Oh, but it is always at risk. The prisoner dilemma of the AI revolution among the major tech companies is real and tangible. Google does know that if someone else gets to better AGI, closer to AGI before Google does, there is risk to their existence. It's existential risk for each of the dominant tech companies to not invest in AI. And besides, I mean, Google is always, like Bryce has talked about before, that 2000, Larry and Sergey were talking about the ultimate end game of Google was to become an AI company. So it is part and parcel of their strategy from the beginning is to be here and to dominate AI. Bryce, tell me what is you know where I'm going with this? What's the epiphany you had about Google?
It's not mine. I saw a tweet and it was right. I don't know if that's right. It's a good theory that Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google, was playing 4D chess this whole time. They had AI chatbots internally, and he said this part's true. Google did have AI-powered, transformer-powered chatbots that they were using internally before ChatGPT rolled out. And ChatGPT came along, and they sort of saw it, and Sundar's like, okay, that's cool. The reason he let ChatGPT exist is because they were then under litigation with the Department of Justice for antitrust. Google was. And so he lets them exist and grow and threaten Google all this time. And then, we get the antitrust ruling, 3 months ago. And lo and behold, why did the government not break up Google? Was because the threat of ChatGPT, right? So Sundar let ChatGPT exist willingly to save the company from a breakup. And then, knowing he could crush them later on anyways.
Yeah. And so it's literally like, John, of course, you remember when Bill Gates and Microsoft invested in Apple. And the only reason that they did that, they saved Apple. Like Steve Jobs came back to Apple and Apple was about to run out of money. And Apple, I think Steve called Bill and was like, dude, if you let us go under, there's no more competition. You're actually an outright monopoly and you will be in a lot of trouble. And so Microsoft was like, yeah, we better throw Apple a bone. And they saved Apple so they would not be a standalone monopoly. And I think this is an exact analogy for that. Why wouldn't Sundar be like, yeah, go ahead and go play your little games with your chat bots. And when Google is ready to release, we will just go ahead and destroy you like we do everybody anyway.
It's a good story.
You're not buying it?
I was at a workshop for Neo4j, the graph database, and there was this guy from Google there, and he kept trying to make everybody be aware of how they came out the transformer first. They're the ones who invented it, and it's all and all this other stuff. People are getting so hung up on these other people doing this thing, but they're the ones who had it. And it was just sounded so jealous.
He's no Sundar. That was not the CEO. That was a random bloke.
Right. It was somebody who would know more, somebody who actually worked at the company versus the one up top who's trying to understand what's happening down within. So
Anyway, I thought it was an interesting business strategy, if not a true story.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah. All right, Bryce, what did you want to run through today?
Well, I wanted to look at the that Tesla stuff that I sent over. Let me find the tweet.
Sharing your screen.
Yeah, let me find the tweet and then I will share it. But the Tesla just had a tweet showing off some of their new capabilities with AI training video models. Where'd you guys go? Share. And so let's just share screen. Okay, so this is the post, but this video is not real. This is a simulation of what a Tesla would be seeing with its eight cameras here.
Bryce, read the tweet. Set the context by reading the actual tweet. It lays it out pretty well.
Right. To push self-driving into situations wilder than reality, we built a neural network world simulator that can create entirely synthetic worlds for the Tesla to drive in. Video below is fully generated and not a real video. So then, there's a few more examples here. We can synthesize new challenges such as a pedestrian or a car cutting in.
Now zoom in a little, Bryce. Zoom in on because there you go. These are synthetically generated videos.
Yeah, well, the one on the left in this example is original, and then it made the cut across. I guess is what they're saying.
I see. Yeah,
that's in Waco. I know where that's. I've driven on that road. Okay, we can make the AI drive in older challenges. Here.
No.
Drives around the dog.
All right.
And he said you can. Oh yeah, this one you can control the fake Tesla and drive it in the video like it's a video game. So this guy is driving in the simulated world.
Oh.
Huh.
And that helps train the model.
I guess. I'm not sure if this is helping train the model or not. This looks pretty erratic. I guess. I don't know. Or maybe he's driving so he can confuse the computer and like pull out in front of the computer. I don't know what's happening.
I don't know, but the other ones, I mean, the fact that it's just synthesizing the whole thing, it's like it needed more data. And so they made it.
This is Optimus, an example of video that they made, a simulation for the Optimus.
Yeah, read the tweet for this part too, Bryce. What's it say about Optimus?
The same thing works for Tesla Optimus.
Yeah, same thing works for Tesla Optimus. So long story short, what we're showing there is Tesla is saying that they are training full self-driving and Optimus robot, not just with real world video inputs from like Tesla cars driving around, but what happened to our?
Can you guys see us? I can't.
No, it's all black now. Did you stop sharing? There we go.
There we go.
Stop sharing.
Nope, I just did it again. I accidentally. There you go. Thanks, Bryce.
Yeah.
That Tesla's actually like creating fake video to train that then Optimus trains from. And that full self-driving trains from. And obviously it can create infinite number of long tail scenarios, random things that John's hardware 3 Tesla Model 3 might someday actually get a download to help with.
It's long been the challenge of the full self-driving is that it's a long tail problem, right? That it's not that hard to train a car to drive between the mustard and the mayonnaise on the interstate, right? But
never heard that
before. Really?
That's funny.
No, never heard it.
That's great.
That must be a hillbilly cowboy thing. And anyways, but yeah, I mean, you can imagine that you could just prompt that simulator to come up with crazy edge cases, storms, like children playing soccer in the street in the middle of a hailstorm, which would probably never happen in real life, right? But you could prompt that in a simulator and have the car figure out how to drive and handle that.
You know, it's interesting though, Bryce, you prompted us listening to you say children playing soccer in the street in a hailstorm. And we all could we could simulate
right.
like virtually in our brain, we can all picture Oh, if I were driving in a city and there were kids playing soccer in the streets in a hailstorm, I would go really slow. Like you literally, like you trained your brain right then. You're like, if that ever happens to me, I'm slightly more prepared than I would have been otherwise.
Right.
You know, though, I remember in college one time, I saw this guy is leaving a concert, I think a Garth Brooks concert that my father came to town for. We're not big Garth Brooks fans, but it's Garth Brooks. So anyway, after the concert, we saw this like guy terrifying a woman, screaming at her in the street. And people sort of were walking by and we sort of stopped, and it got really almost scary that like the guy was going to hit my father and me, and he was a big old dude, and I was scared. And I do remember at that moment being like, I wish in my brain I could have like prepared. And that's not the only example of that in my life, but you know how like times in your life when you end up in this long tail event where you were ill prepared for, I should have like yelled at that. I shouldn't have said that. I should have done this. I should have left. I should have gone. Like there's like, and so like we all sort of do simulate reality in our minds so that we are prepared. And this is Tesla's AI's version of that.
And not just Tesla, well, the other part of Tesla too, with Optimus and other companies. And it's this thing called a world model, where you have this stuff getting created that can be whatever of these different scenarios that, you know, long tail means it's not going to happen. It's going to happen once in 50 years or longer, and who knows when. And to be able to kind of compress that down and have all the odd things happen in a short window, and then have whether it's car or robot or whatever sort of train on that thing occurring, because we had talked about this well back with Nvidia and them creating a world kind of that software robots could happen in. And there was that one where it would have this hand that would spin a pen on it, you know, balanced on it, and kind of do that thing that some people can do, that trick of having the pen go around like this. And then when it got good at it in the cartoon world, but it had the main kind of physics figured out from there, it went into the real world, and a real world robot was able to do it, because it wasn't just a picture of something like it is with the car. That's all it needs to be. But it was actually the physics involved and everything. How heavy is what part of it, and what's going to happen?
John, do you know how hard it, like, so let's, you train the video, you train a model with the videos that it watches, these crazy videos, let's say, right? A bunch of edge cases. And so you've trained this neural network, a new neural network based on what it saw. But now you have to teach that, okay, like it knows what to do when it sees this video. It knows it needs to turn left and things. How hard is it to train the car's computer to like control the steering wheel and the gas and the brakes? You know what I mean? Because there's the input and the output. Is there that much of a difference in training?
No, I think it's super easy. Actually, I really think the hard part is it knowing what it needs to do, because then, I mean, drive-by-wire can happen with a remote control. Now you take the remote control out and you let the computer be the one that's driving by wire. But if it has the right sort of inputs into that thing for what to do, which it's going to have given the training. So,
well, then there's only a handful of things it can do. It can brake or accelerate. It can turn left. It can turn right. It can go forward. It can go back. Whereas
with a robot, it's very hard, right? Like
I see where you're going with that. For a robot, there's an infinite number of things it can do.
Right. You
they all have
a lot of, right? Like,
well, they're degrees of freedom. Everything is a degree
of
freedom.
But not just degrees of freedom. Like there's an infinite number of things I can do with my fingers.
Well, it's the combinations, which get almost infinite. And then there's the time for something starting or stopping. And then there's the force for how much it's pushed down. There's a ton of things that
right. And I guess that goes back, like in the car analogy, it's not like that. It can accelerate quickly or slowly, but it's either accelerating or slowing or reversing. Like those are the options. Whereas one hand can go forward and the other can go back, and they can flip someone off or give them a high five.
But Kung Fu, right? This is like now the Optimus is like sort of doing some Kung Fu moves, and it's like, yes, but buy it training in software where it can do like 10,000 simulations per second or something. You know, it can go through all of the possibilities, and not all, but as many as need be, kind of thing, so that when it's moving its arm out, you know, at that point, all that matters is that what's up in here, not what it does with its foot. You know, for that part of it, it's like you're reducing the choices down. So that you're not, I mean, this is like Starbucks. How many coffees are there?
Bryce, it's a great question. I was picturing you talking about the car, but the Optimus, there's an infinite number of things it can learn to do, moving left, right, this, that, the other, what part of the body.
It just seems complicated to me because you have like 10 actuators, 5 motors, and like a lot of things happening at once that the robot brain has to control. And I feel like that is very complex. But maybe if it watches the video and it learns how to do it, it just knows to apply this much voltage.
It matters. Motor, you can learn so much faster. You learn way faster when you have a software world to operate in, because that really does transfer. If it goes and throws up a ball and then goes down and catches it, and it does it in the software world, there was a guy from Nvidia who said, you know, I think his name is Jim Fan. He said, like, all that when you get into the real world, all that is just one other virtual world that just happens to be real.
Yeah, I see.
I had a question about that, because in that thread, somebody brought up something interesting, is that in the generated worlds, you can look at the letters, but the letters are not actually letters. There's nothing to read. Now, I was looking up how Tesla's kind of look at information and process it. Like, do they actually need the words there, or is it more like context? But I wasn't quite sure. John, do you have any insight on how not having the actual words there will affect the training? And I'm sure that'll just get better over time. But
I mean, in some cases, you want to not have information that is gonna might affect your training in a bad way. Like, it wasn't relevant. You know, if you pass this sign and it could have said Billy, Mary, Bob, Sue, anything, then it's like you trained by, oh no, I learned to stop. It was only when it said Susie, you know, and it wasn't relevant, you know. But then again, you have, like, was it with Google's tool? Was it Google Lens or Google something, where you'd like, and ChatGPT does it too, I think, but you would like hold it up to a parking sign, a really complicated one, and I'd be, can I park here? And we go, yes, because it's Thursday at 5:02, and this one part of it covers that, and it's like totally understanding. So sometimes you want to understand, and sometimes your understanding comes from compressing out the things that don't matter.
And I would think also Craig, that there's times where the car, the speed limit sign is going to be obfuscated anyway. And the car needs to, again, be trained for not being able to see that the speed dropped, or there was a stop sign that was obfuscated, something. And it needs to be training for those edge case scenarios when it can't see those signs. So nothing happens in a vacuum, including the training of the AI. Last comments, last words.
Do I go first?
Yes, Craig, you're first this time. You're the newbie.
All right. Well, I don't think we talked about it too much, but Qualcomm is now in the arena fighting with AMD and Nvidia. They'll be launching their new chips starting next year, and then more in 2027. I kind of wanted just to get everybody's take on that, but I just think more competition is better in this space. AMD is kind of on the back end, and if Qualcomm's coming out with something that says it's cheaper and less power, draws less power, I think that's phenomenal and just fantastic for the industry, and we could see it in their stock price today.
Craig, what's crazy is just how constrained the supply is for all of this stuff. And that's where, like, Nvidia would sell many more chips every quarter if they could just get more chips made every quarter. And this is true for all of these companies. And then you mentioned AMD and Nvidia, but we also can't forget that Google and its TPU chips are literally competing against these things too, in the sense that Google signed a deal with, was it Anthropic late last week, for billions of dollars of AI inference processing, which, you know, Anthropic doesn't care where the processing is happening as long as it's happening as much and as quickly as it possibly can. And so instead of, you know, like, it's being processed on Google competing chips to AMD and Nvidia. Now we've got Qualcomm, you know, even Intel's got a wannabe inference chip that's sold 8 units in the last 7 years. But the exciting part of the Qualcomm chip is, as Bryce explained it to me. That was your cue, Bryce.
Yeah. No. So we have Qualcomm's chip uses a different memory architecture. It's called low power density double data, LPDDR is what it's called. And I'm looking it up. Low power double data rate. And Qualcomm is the largest consumer of this type of memory in the world, because they use it to make the chips for the smartphones. And so they have a lock on this supply chain of memory, which is important because all of the other AI chips from Meta, from Google, from Microsoft's, and I mean, you know, these are in-house chips, including Nvidia's, AMD's, and Intel's, all used high bandwidth memory, which is HBM, and that is severely supply constrained. And so, if
HBCM, isn't it, Bryce?
What?
HBCM?
No, HBM, high bandwidth memory.
Okay.
And HBM3 is the latest and greatest version of that. And so NVIDIA has a big, like, they've tried to lock up the HBM market with SK Hynix and those guys by signing long-term deals for capacity and paying them in advance and all these things to keep an edge on that. And so if Qualcomm can figure out a way, if these chips work like they say they will, they can use this really cheap memory, and it's actually a lot larger. High bandwidth memories is good for high bandwidth. Low LPDDR is good for big, like, storage. So you could put an entire model, like a 500 billion parameter model, on a single card on one of these Qualcomm chips, whereas on NVIDIA chips or others, you have to, they call it tensor parallelism, and the different chips have to work together to store that model in its memory. So anyway, I learned about all this morning after the press release came out. But I thought it was interesting. The reason I say all that and it's interesting is because I was afraid when Qualcomm put this press release out that they were just chasing, that they were desperate to have an AI chip. We too are in this game, you know, because the stock has been lagging and underperforming the stocks by a huge margin. So I did some research, and I was like, you know what, there's actually an edge here. Qualcomm has a real edge because they are experts in using LPDDR, and, you know, maybe this could work. So it's a good news.
Yeah, exactly that. When I first saw the news, I was worried that it was just Me Too kind of stuff, and this was substantially different enough on a architectural level that it really could be a competing. And Bryce and I, and Craig now too, we have an internal rule in our firm to always focus that the premise is that the most economically and energy efficient solutions always win over the long run. And if Qualcomm has, and it sounds like this is a very energy and economically efficient approach to inference, you're not going to train on this stuff, but right. You will. The models you've trained, when random people like Cody, Craig, or Bryce or John uses your model, it'll go and infer the stuff and probably be cheaper on a per compute pure energy basis. And so that would be like, that's if Qualcomm can become even just a 5 or 10% market shareholder of inference data center chips, we don't have any data center in our models that we built for Qualcomm internally looking out. And it was already one of our favorite positions because of the robotics kicker potential. If it now has an AI kicker, to boot, I mean, we have to go rebuild our model entirely and add AI potential revenue. And then if it becomes actually the most energy and economically efficient way of doing inference, it'll actually become the dominant inference platform. And that would be worth trillions of dollars. And market cap of Qualcomm is currently not measured with T's.
John, quick question on that. There is no issue, right? If you trained a model on Nvidia, CUDA software, all that stuff, there's no issue. You could download the weights, right, and put them in a different chip.
Yeah.
And AMD or Qualcomm could inference it.
Yeah. The way you write the code to make it happen, if you're like, oh, we want to work on our next version, that could have some stuff where it's caught up in, how CUDA was set up with NVIDIA, stuff like that. The model itself, no.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's, again, what we liked about Qualcomm was it was like, we're not going to go try to compete against NVIDIA on training. But if we can be more energy efficient on the actual inference and compute processing of it all, like that's a great market opportunity for Qualcomm to play in. We love Qualcomm for two reasons before today. And that was because the Meta glasses that we talked about earlier, Snapdragon chip from Qualcomm is what runs that. And then I think there will be hundreds of millions of robots 5 years from now that will have Qualcomm 5G LTE modems chips inside of them, which is what powers your Android or iPhone. So, John, last words. Craig, your last word was a question, and that was actually great last words. I appreciate it. Well done. That was good TVing right there. Johnny?
I thought the story was interesting about coming out of China about ASML. They, have an ASML machine there for the whatever deep ultraviolet lithography, which is like, underlies all of what's going on. When they're like this, you can't do without them, just like Taiwan, So this China called tech support in ASML. I just said, hey, we need to get this thing working. It stopped working, whatever. The techs go out there and they find out that it doesn't work because the Chinese took it apart to reverse engineer it and couldn't put it back together. And so I don't know what's going to happen there with, I would say they kind of broke the sticker on the thing that says, to get.
Your warranty is voided if you remove the sticker.
They actually, and I didn't realize, but there's parts of the machine that are so like black box that like opening them destroys them. You literally can't, open it up. You've got so much.
The rumor has long been that ASML has booby trapped all of their EUV machines, and so those engineers could be in danger if.
I don't think Bryce. I don't think it's like the Israeli pager thing.
No, I like to think it is. I like to think that there's like TNT strapped to the inside.
No, I think it's
booby trapped like on itself. It self destructs like Mission Impossible is like,
So it should blow a bunch of glitter all over the lab.
Yeah, exactly, liquid glitter everywhere.
If you could do that with more, of the intellectual property that finds its way into China, it would be interesting. But they've apparently figured out how to go and do that, which is interesting for them.
But it is also underscores just the miraculous nature of what were these systems that build the systems that build the chips that build the systems that we use to watch Netflix at home, because ASML is like using laser lights and like it makes no sense when you go study what ASML is doing to make chips. Like your mind, you literally are going to be like that's not right. They're literally like cutting a slot with a laser light that then whatever. It's insane.
TSMC,
so of course, the Chinese are not going to be able to put it back together. It's not a Rolex.
They shoot. I saw this video.
What's that?
I saw a video explaining how they create the extreme ultraviolet light, which doesn't exist in the natural universe. That's what EUV stands for. And so they shoot molten tin into a chamber, and then shoot the droplet of molten tin with a laser. And when that laser hits the molten tin, it turns into plasma, which emits extreme ultraviolet light. And that's how you get UV. And what's crazy is when it shoots it into that chamber, you have multiple cameras tracking the dot of tin so that it can precisely aim the laser to hit it. And that happens 50,000 times a second.
It's like a particle accelerator. I mean, in terms of the complexity. And then exactly. TSMC what goes to build a plant in Arizona, and people are like, yeah, good luck, because when they made what they made in Taiwan, it was like on a Thursday when it was humid out, and this and that's. Like they're trying to imitate exactly everything about how this happened, because it's not. It's almost like the ASML thing where it's just so complex to try to imitate it.
The most amazing thing to me out of not the most amazing, all of it mind-blowing. The least amazing thing out of all of this is that ASML gross margins. You talk about a monopoly. Like you can't buy this stuff from any other company on the planet. You know what ASML's gross margins are?
55%.
52 to 55 for Bryce is
right, terrible.
It's not horrible. Like you're not Walmart gross margins, you're not Alcoa gross margins, but like a monopoly, like Nvidia is a monopoly on the training side of the AI data center chips. Gross margins, Bryce?
Sorry, I was reading. What was the question?
What are the gross margins for Nvidia?
Oh, 75. Company-wide, it's like 69.9 right now.
Yeah, and at one point it hit 85 3 quarters ago. So, that is monopoly gross margins. What ASML? What is that? This is a European I'm a communist, socialist. I can't take too much money for this product or something. Why are they not charging double their price and get their gross margins up to 75%?
I don't know. The costs are.
I think the Taiwanese are damn good negotiators, is what I would say. They somehow are like, you know what? Screw you. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what your bluff is.
Yeah, what is your leverage? You're like, well, if you charge that much for your machine to make the next generation chips, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, we'll build it in house.
I guess maybe the only leverage would be like we're only buying one. And otherwise, we'll buy 3. I don't know. I mean, John, last words. Let's wrap this up. We're running an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
No words? Nothing?
That was my last word. Was the China?
Oh, right. Last word?
No, I had mine. I answered Craig's question. Talk about Qualcomm.
Over to you, Cody.
All right. I give you... I guess I'll just share my entire screen. This one, share. This is, can you guys see this here?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an AI song that my mom sent me from her visiting her cousin or my dad's nephew in Nashville. Well, I don't know why it won't play. You guys can't hear it, can you?
No.
Can we play Founder Mode?
What's Founder Mode?
It's my favorite song right now.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's finish it with Founder Mode. It's actually got a video. Mine was almost cute in a family kind of way. And
this video sort of makes fun of technology, but I think it's funny.
It's a badass video. Let's just keep it real. Share your screen. There you go. All right, everybody. These are our last words. Founder Mode. Full screen, Bryce.
Ladies, now graphics. Told the team we're family, then cut their pay. Dangle 1%, they'll grind and stay. If they burn out, got newest to fry, just sell the dream.